And we go straight to a major developments in Operation Epic Fury.
CENTCOM releasing this new footage just last hour showing sweeping strikes against Iran. The number of terror targets hit by the U.S. now tops 8,000. Lucas Tomlinson joining us live from Dubai with the very latest. Good morning, Lucas.
Good morning, guys. And the Natanz nuclear facility was also hit. That was Iran's center of enriched uranium. Officials say this is likely recon by fire. You bomb these nuclear sites, and of course, Natanz, one of the 3 nuclear sites hit during Operation Midnight Hammer over the summer. You bomb them to see if any radiation was released. If no radiation released, it's probably none there, or you miss the target. So target down, you go to other nuclear sites. And President Trump posting on Truth Social, he's considering winding down this war as we look at these HIMARS launchers launching strikes deep into Iran. And Admiral Cooper, the CENTCOM commander in charge of prosecuting the war, out with this new battlefield update.
U.S. forces continue to take bold action and will remain on plan to eliminate Iran's ability to project meaningful power outside its borders. Their Navy is not sailing, their tactical fighters are not flying, and they've lost the ability to launch missiles and drones at the high rates seen at the beginning of the conflict. I just could not be prouder of our warfighters, and I know that the American people share in this same pride.
Now, in a sign Iran still has some fight left, guys, it's launched 2 intermediate-range ballistic missiles at Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. Reportedly, one misfired, the other destroyed by a U.S. Navy guided missile destroyer firing an SM-3 interceptor outside the Earth's atmosphere in space. Now, for years, Iran insisted it did not have missiles that could fly this far. Recall, for years, officials accused Iran of hiding its ballistic missile program under the cloak of a civilian space launch program to put satellites in space. The U.S., as we heard from Admiral Cooper, now hitting over 8,000 targets across Iran, penetrating deeper into the country, which is twice the size of Texas. Cooper also said the 5,000-pound satellite-guided bunker-busting bombs not only destroyed storage sites for anti-ship cruise missiles near the Strait of Hormuz, but also destroyed intelligence hubs and radar sites, all in an attempt to reopen the strait, which Iran now appears to be using as a toll booth. And 2,000 Marines have also set sail aboard the USS Boxer amphibious ready group out of San Diego. It will take about a month for them to arrive. Now, guys, here on the ground in Dubai, it was a relatively quiet night. Only a small handful of ballistic missiles and drones fired at this country. In the course of the last 3 weeks, over 2,000 drones and missiles have been fired here. That's more than twice the number launched at Israel. Guys?
Hey, real quick, Lucas, I watched that. I listened to the update from Admiral Cooper, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that he also said in there that they conducted the longest artillery strike in U.S. Army's history?
That's right. So those launchers, if you want to show the viewers the video again, those are HIMARS launchers being launched from the land, likely somewhere near the Persian Gulf, firing the new precision strike munition, which is the longest. These are satellite-guided rockets that can fly deeper in Iran than you could the other munitions like ATACMS or some of the other guided missile rounds or guided rocket rounds.
Lucas, one of the great things about having a reporter like you is you have military experience, so you can add that to the conversation as well. So I'd love if you could answer this question for me. So President Trump putting out on Truth Social that he's winding this up, a really striking, I think, a really optimistic tone that he can reach his objectives quickly and that is his goal. However, at the same time, we're partnering with Israel, who might have different goals. President downplaying a little bit, but you can tell he wasn't very happy with Israel striking those oil fields, which could, in fact, perhaps expand this conflict. So how can he reach these objectives quickly, and how does a country like the United States, who's clearly the main force here, the main financer, and has all the weapons or more weapons than Israel, and is the leading partner, how do they work with a partner who might have slightly different goals in terms of just degrading and getting out quickly, much in the way that he did with Operation Midnight Hammer, which was very successful?
What's notable, Rachel, the president said he's considering winding down the war. And remember, before he launched the Pegasus package to grab Nicolas Maduro and his wife over New Year's, when the press pool asked him, what's your goal for the new year? He said peace. And next thing you know, he launched that operation. So perhaps President Trump wants to keep Iran and its leaders on edge. And speaking of the leader of Iran, we heard from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He candidly admitted he does not know who's running the country right now. And the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, they're pretty decentralized, Rachel. They have 31 different units corresponding with the 31 different provinces of Iran. It's a very large country, and it's very clear that orders were given all the way down to pretty low levels what to do in the face of these kind of decapitation strikes. And you're right, the Israeli military is going after leaders, assassinations. It's going after the Basij, the IRGC's paramilitary force in charge of stifling internal opposition. The U.S. military going after more military hard targets like ballistic missile sites, air defense sites, and, of course, really mowing the grass around the Strait of Hormuz, trying to get that opened up. Yes, 80% of that oil and gas goes to Asia, but as we've seen with the gas prices, wherever somebody's watching this right now, they're seeing the high prices at the pump. You need to get the Strait open. You're also seeing some side deals. I mentioned a toll booth at the Strait of Hormuz. You know, India has been cutting deals with the Iranians to get their tankers out. China, who gets about half of its oil from the Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf, expect those kind of deals to be worked out as well.
Really quick, Lucas, if Benjamin Netanyahu says that we don't know who's in charge, then how would we negotiate an off-ramp to this?
It's very challenging, Rachel. I think you answered the question. If you don't have a leader to negotiate with, it might be difficult to wind down this war.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, Lucas.
Thank you, Lucas.
Thank you so much.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.